100 days in Minecraft Hardcore as the ultimate survival game. Sure, Minecraft is a survival game, but is it? What if you had to survive temperatures, burning hot summers and freezing cold winters? And you have to balance your nutrition by hunting, foraging, and farming all kinds of food so that you don't become malnourished. All of this while you're taking damage to specific limbs and body parts, healing with first aid and bandages. No, eating food doesn't heal broken legs in real life. And if all of this isn't enough, I'll have to hide from bounty hunters who will be tracking me down, and they'll come for me on day 100. Every 10 days, the seasons will change. With every new season comes new challenges that will test our survival abilities. From the harsh environments of every season to the elements themselves trying to attack us. Not only will we have to survive all this, but we'll have to get strong enough so that we can last for the final big attack. I just hope I can make it that far. The nightmare begins as we start with attempt number 1. Now honestly, at this point, I'm thinking it couldn't be that hard, right? And the first thing you're probably already noticing as we jump in is a lack of a health bar. That's because up there in the top left corner, we have a full body health stats readout. And this shows us where we take damage and just how much we take at each body part. I start to freeze, so I get too close to this lava, and I start to burn. And by the very first night. Okay, so much for that map. So, we start attempt number 2, and here we go. Now this time, we do spawn in an area that isn't already freezing. So that means we might have a chance, and we kinda did. I even got some primitive survival tools, but just like in the real world, I take one arrow shot to the head, and that's game over. Then it's time for attempt 3, and this means it's time to freeze to death. Again. Attempt 4, and whew, did you guys see that grizzly bear? Because I didn't. Attempt 5, that's another freezing to death. Okay. Attempt 8, and we worked ourselves into exhaustion. Wow, oof. Okay. Attempt 13, and you bet it's unlucky. We even get ourselves some iron tools this playthrough, but even though we're heading underground, that's not enough shelter from the elements. Attempt 15, and the spider gets one bite on our heads. It blinds us, and yeah, I think at this point we all kind of get it. This Minecraft is for true gamers. No, do you have games on your phone, kids? Here. So, at this point, I had done so many attempts, I had honestly kind of forgotten which attempt we were on. But I do figure out that we are... Oh, wow. Attempt 38. Okay. This is getting a little bit ridiculous. I spawn in and see a huge ice biome right behind me. Great. I already know that time is against me. In the center of my hub, you can also see the hot/cold meter. Now, if this ticks up to 100 in either direction, that means we're going to be heading to attempt number 39. I find some sheep, and even though I'm getting super close to freezing, I do really need this wool so I can go to sleep and safely get through the cold nights. I waste too much time though trying to get it, and I get up to 100. But I'm lucky because we find this flower biome right next to me, and I just barely keep the frostbite at bay. For now. So we need to get some wood so that we can make that bed. But just like any true survival game, you can't just punch down trees. Oh, and don't tell Ark I said that, by the way. We have to go full RL craft style here and hit up this gravel to get our first basic survival tools. We just hit it against a rock to get these flint shards. We then take some branches out of the tree, which gets us the sticks, and then we can make our first crude flint knife. We use that knife on all the little grass here, and we get some plant fibers. 3 plant fibers gets 1 string, and then we can make a... Oh. Nope, we don't have any string because I used them all to make knives. Cool. Good old Captain started acting dumb again. I do manage to get a flint hatchet after wasting way too much time. I get lucky again, and I actually managed to find this warm swamp biome. And I find a ravine here too. And this will be our best shelter for our first night. I set out all these logs because I have to strip them and then use my axe if I want to make planks. And you guessed it, This is the only way you can make planks in this mod pack. Then, we use some more string and some more flint to get our first crude pick to carve a little spot into the cave for the night. Also, we do craft that bed. And with just these few little things going our way, the odds of making it through day one are much, much higher. Everything pretty much has to go perfectly. Luckily, this time, it has. I start to cure the plant fibers, sanitizing them into string. You'll see why we do this later, it's really important. And I even get lucky and get some iron. This is good too, because this will be the only thing that keeps us from getting one shot from a mob. In fact, speaking of mobs, this creeper kindly reminds us that it is past our bedtime, and we should probably be going to bed. I lay down and I put the covers over my head, but let's be honest, I'm still going to be on TikTok for an hour or two. Day 2, and this means we've already made it a lot longer than most people would be able to. And this iron will make us just a little bit safer. No more headshots for me. So before we get any iron tools, I'm getting a helmet for no more arrows, and some boots to keep my ankles from breaking. Now, we need to get up to the surface and see if we can find some more food. These little veggies we're foraging for, they'll hold us over, but we're going to start to suffer some debuffs if we don't find more nutritious types of food. We rush a flint and steel so we can make some quick fires for heat, and I'm starting to think that everything is going well. Too well. Yep. There it is, the setback. Trying to climb the water, I hit my head on the cave roof, and I get a concussion. But soon, I come to, and I see that I'm only a little bit injured on my head. That's how careful you need to be in this mod pack. And no, just eating food doesn't heal your wounds. You need to use first aid. That means we're going to be using that string that we had made earlier, only 2 hearts for head trauma, and 3 hearts for the chest. If you lose those, you're dead. That's why you can get so easily one-shot. I spend the rest of the day trying to find any string I can. This is going to be really tough for the next few days. I rush home at sundown, because the last thing I need right now is more mob spawning. But we do make it to day 3, and since a chest wound means that I am going to die, I do decide it's time to make an iron chest plate too. Iron leggings, and yes, I know I say iron pants, it's technically leggings, but I mean, you know what I mean. I get a good amount of gear, and enough first aid, so that I'm feeling safe enough to go out on our most dangerous mission to date, which is feeding his little biggie. He's so cute. Okay, but seriously, I'm going to spend today looking for a better place to make our more permanent home. And that's when I see this. These structures are full of geared up mobs, and they're the ones that are hunting me. They're the reason I'm on the run trying to survive the elements in the first place. I make sure to keep my distance, and I get out of there. Soon, I come across this forest. In the back of my mind, I know that summer is coming up, and that swamp will cook me alive if I try to stay there. This cool, temperate forest could be a good place to make a more permanent camp. And we're going to need a more permanent place to set down, because we're going to need to grow crops. Because my bad diet is already hurting me. I make a small camp next to the river and sleep off these hunger pains. But it's not all doom and gloom. Sleeping will help heal about half a heart all around your body, which is pretty nice. That and all these band-aids will keep me going for now. But I need to stop and grab some more plant fibers, for sure. More fibers means more string means more band-aids. I'm on red for my stamina, and I'm about to overwork myself. So I need to actually stop and take off all of my heavy armor and just stand still for a little bit. I also get a furnace going for a little bit of warmth, but it looks like it's not quite enough. I'm not going to attempt number 39. I start to light the grass around me on fire, trying desperately to keep warm, and it's working. Sorry, Smokey. But soon, spirits of the forest and Smokey get their revenge. I only take one hit, but with no armor and all this fire damage, it really messes me up. Temporary blindness from that head wound and that broken left arm there means that now I have mining fatigue. Not good. I know it's just a flesh wound, but I need to rush a bandage and fix that right now. First we disappoint Smokey the Bear, now we disappoint the Black Knight. Any references from the 90s? Come on. I told you this wasn't little kids Minecraft. Ooh, okay, look at this. This is a perfect medium-sized cave right in the biome that I want. It's a little bit chilly, but that should just keep us cool through our first summer. I start to dig out a little area inside the cave for a living area, and I seal up the back of the cave so there's only one entrance that I have to worry about. I set down a bed, and start to get my strings sanitized, because, yeah, band-aids are super critical. And you know what else is super critical? Protecting your privacy when you're online. Flawless transition to this video's sponsor. That's right, this video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. If you've been on YouTube, you've 100% heard about VPNs and Surfshark, but you're probably wondering, why do I need a VPN? For the loyal Captain fans, you've probably noticed that over the course of the last year, my name has been changing back and forth in all of my videos, from something that's a random jumble of letters to my actual real name. My Java account has been repeatedly attacked and had the password stolen over the course of almost a year now. Trust me, you need to protect yourself. And Surfshark is the best way to do that. Surfshark is one of the best virtual private networks available today. It protects and encrypts all of your personal data, which covers up anything you're doing online, and it stops hackers, and worse than that, from knowing what you're doing. But it's not all spooky and scary. Surfshark also lets you choose your IP location and virtually travel around the world, so you can take advantage of some really cool perks too. You can access YouTube content that might be blocked in your region by changing your IP location. And yes, you can access different content libraries on streaming platforms like Netflix. Let's be honest, this is kind of the best perk right here. There's a ton of other amazing perks too, like protecting your public Wi-Fi, giving you real-time security breach alerts, and antivirus, and a whole bunch of other perks too. And of course, the most important thing about this sponsor is that it keeps my viewers safe. Surfshark is offering us 83% off and 3 free months if you use the promo code down in my description. The promo code is just TheCaptainsTV, so clean, no weird numbers, nice. And with this, you don't have to worry about having your Minecraft account stolen anymore. Trust me, this is so much cheaper than needing to buy another Minecraft account or dealing with Microsoft support. So thank you, Surfshark, for supporting my channel and for keeping the crew safe. I don't really know how to transition back to the gameplay, so yeah, let's just start with day 5, I guess. I seal up most of the front, but I know that mobs could be coming, so I decided to run to bed. Halfway through our first season, and we're holding together okay. We're barely hanging on, but we've been playing this pretty smart. Well, smart enough to keep us alive, at least to the next day. Just making it to the next day is what survival really is all about. I make myself a halberd, but soon, out front, I see a skeleton that could two-shot me, so I'm not really combat ready just yet. I still need to creep my way around and go out to find some wood. I craft up a door so I can actually have a safer little area to relax, and once that's up, I gotta admit, I feel so much better. And this area is perfect too. It's a little bit cold out there in the spring forest, but we have this lake right here for fresh water, a ton of grass to collect string. Another big plus is this, a spiderweb tree. This is a Pam's Harvestcraft treat. And yes, we will be playing Pam's Harvestcraft. Or I hope. We have to get that far first. We need to focus all of our effort on getting a ton of string and medical supplies. While we do this, we still need to collect firewood and keep warm, and yes, all my wood needs to be stripped, then cut by hand, making this challenge much harder. Finally, we get enough wood to craft up a chest, and look, it's almost like we're playing a little bit of Minecraft in the middle of our survival game. I make a big gamble here. Maybe a questionable decision now that I'm looking back on it. I use 8 string to make a spiderweb tree. Now, if I can last long enough, this will pay off in a few days, but I need to live that long first. The sun sets, and I have a ton of work to do, but working at night is 1,000,000% a no-no, so I head straight to bed. Day 6, and I get a little spook. I see my very first sign that my sanity is slipping, but if I keep living in dirt in the caves, suffering all these injuries, and keeping this poor diet, I'm going to be seeing way more hallucinations than just that. And speaking of losing my sanity, oh, I almost forgot about this part. After being in the forest for a little too long, I start to freeze. I have to think quick, and I start little fires all around me. I really hope this works. Barely. Like so close to going back to day 1. But I am starting slowly to warm back up. Looks like I've lost all the feeling in my lower limbs. Look at this. Half a heart on my chest. That right there means I was half a heart from dying. Remember, eating will not save me. I can only use first aid to get that heart back. I'm still freezing. I have weakness now and mining fatigue. Oh, seeing that ghost back there in the forest, I think that might have been an omen. Because I've never come this close in this attempt to becoming a ghost. I make a desperate run, or a crawl, to my shelter, and I slump over in the corner. Gotta be honest, guys, this mod pack might be too much. Okay, I know I'll be stuck in this cave trying to slowly heal for the next few days, but if I can make it to summer, I'll get a little bit stronger, and some of the survival elements will get a little bit easier. So I really just need to make sure I play extra safe and make it to day 10. And then I might not be so fragile. I'm only going to go outside to get more plant fibers, and then wait to cook them. Remember, I used a ton of my string to make that tree, and I really need that to start paying off soon. I'm trying to heal up the best that I can, but this is really tough. This is my all-time low. I sit by a furnace all day just waiting for string. But I decide I can't just sit here and waste my time and wait for day 100 when they'll come get me. Instead of going outside and freezing to death, now I'm going to try to dig down inside of my own base. Once my arm's healed enough so that I don't have mining fatigue, I carefully start to look for a little bit more iron. But even down here, it's so cold that I need to light fires to stay warm while I'm mining. I use the iron to get a shield so I don't need to hide from the skeletons as much. And I go out to get a bit more string from the spider tree before the night comes. I'm also trying to get a farm going. Maybe I can actually grow some string crops. But again, staying out the slate is just too dangerous. So I gotta go back to bed. Day 7, I'm finally strong enough to get back to work. Now obviously I do need to farm up some food. But I actually think I'm going to prioritize growing some string crops with Pam's Harvestcraft so I can get some better first aid. I don't want to get hurt and be stuck inside for a whole nother day. These small bushes are part of Harvestcraft. They give you a variety of crops, all of which can grow depending on the season. And while I'm too focused on this, of course, I start to freeze again. So this time I quickly light the fires before I start to freeze, but it gets a little too close. I start to burn and I take a step back. I guess I didn't see that massive ravine behind me. If anybody watching this video is having a tough time right now, just think about this. At least you're not me right now. I make this small little cave and some temporary fires to try to hide and huddle up for warmth. But I know I'll die in this cave if I don't do something. A big part of survival is hiding and trying to maintain a low profile. But that's not really my style. I'm not going out quiet into that long night. So, we're going to fight our way back into the light. I have 2 broken legs, and I'm pretty much crawling my way home at this point. I'm lighting fires on the way to keep warm because the cold meter is moving faster than me at this point. But I don't give up. I might be spending more time beaten and broken than actually being at full health, but I keep coming back. Unfortunately, I can't move, so the rest of today is going to be over. Day 8, 2 string. Oof. Not enough. Maybe this cold climate was a bad idea. I only need to last 2 more days. I just need to keep fighting. I'm going out and getting string, but I'm staying alert, keeping an eye on my stamina and temperature bars. I will make this. I get a bandage on my broken foot, and the tree I planted is finally starting to pay off. Day 9, and this one's pretty much more of the same. I'm taking it nice and carefully, not going too hard. I start to collect crops here and there where I can, and soon I'm looking decently healthy. And I heal, I play smart, and even though it's still cold out here, summer is starting tomorrow. The freezing should stop, and well, I'm finally going to start to adapt to being in this wilderness. So, by the end of our first spring, I've got this whole basic survival thing pretty much figured out, and I'm managing to keep my aching body going. And there it is. I've never been so happy to see a normal health bar in my life. It's summertime. We no longer have to worry about having that first aid frailness. That means we're back to having a traditional Minecraft health bar. Oh. And the bad side. With every good perk comes a bad challenge. And this one is that stepping into sunlight has the same effect as stepping into lava. This means that I'm gonna have to stay hidden all throughout the daytime, and maybe just poke my head out at night like the little cockroach I am. Well, this isn't the first time I've built an underground bunker before. Right away, I start to head underground for some resources, and I start to overheat. And at first I thought it was the summer heat was getting to me already, but I still have a 0 on my heat meter. Soon I see that I'm getting too close to some hidden lava. You need to be careful for hot pockets underground. Hot pockets. No, can't get distracted. So now that I've picked up this lava, I'm safe to head down here. Right? Well, the mobs love creeping around underground just as much as I do. But after just a couple hits, a small little attack, in retrospect, I actually see that this is a good thing. Now that we have a normal health system, I'm not so weak to mobs. No more one-shots. I get myself a trusty dusty shovel, and I head back down to grab some dirt. Just as I get that done, I see that it's nighttime. Time to go roaching. And sure enough, I head out into the cold night air. I start by grabbing these apples, because I want to save all the other crops for planting. I start to grab some dirt too, but then I realize I'm becoming exhausted. Staying up all these nights, it's really draining my stamina. So we're not going to be able to just stay up all night throughout the summer. Day 11, and if I can't be a night farmer, I'm going to have to change my strategy. I'm going to make a farm that's halfway covered in the cave. I can still work here even through the hot days. Now it's time to start to get down and dirty, and then I set out all the dirt I collected yesterday, and even start to open up the cave a little bit, since now I'm a lot safer. Of course, I move very carefully and do not poke my face out. I do not need a sunburn right now. After all, the sun is a deadly laser. I know my first crop with Pam's Harvestcraft is wheat, boring, okay, sure. But come on, I'm dying here. Give me a break. I then start to get a little bit work done on a second underground farm on the other side of my front door, but soon, night falls. I have a few precious minutes where I have the cool night, but I still have a little bit of energy left over, and I need to use it. So of course, being so smart, I use this precious time just working on aesthetics, because you know, reasons. I then have to slowly walk around, because yeah, look at that stamina bar. Ouch. I immediately start throwing crops down. I'm so excited to finally start to get to farm that I realize something. I should probably be putting these undercover so that I can continue to work on them day or night. Yeah, I'm being a little bit stupid here. I decide that I must be tired. Time to go to bed. So I get some sleep, wake up the next day, and no, I'm still feeling pretty stupid. I cut up some wood, and I start to make an composter, and start to throw the wheat seeds in here. Some bone meal would really be a lifesaver right now. It's going to be super important to get some crops this season, because if I only have autumn crops, I'm really going to struggle to make some nutritious food, and it might not be enough to get through winter in this cold forest. Being in a cold biome like this means, sure, I don't really need to worry about wearing this hot armor in the middle of summer days, but I will eventually pay for it when the winter comes. So for now, I'm really pushing myself hard, trying to get these crops growing. So hard, I have to take a little break here, jump in my jacuzzi. Oh, what? Did you think this was an infinite water source? Oh, come on. So basic. Okay, our second little cave farm here is looking pretty good. Now let's go out tonight and try to find some crops to fill it. Also, it's good to harvest some wood because, you know, trees don't grow inside. Then I see a skeleton, and the shield is working pretty good. The problem is this halberd is really not. See, I didn't know this at the time, but it's a two-handed weapon, which means if I'm holding a shield in one hand, I only do about 20% of the damage, making it kind of not worth it. But hey, at least I do get a little bit of bone meal, and I win the fight, so I feel confident enough to move out a little bit. Maybe it was a little too confident. And the result of this 200 IQ move is that now I have about half of a bar of stamina, and I have to slowly walk back to safety. Now I have to eat a ton of food in order to heal up, but since I'm only eating apples, I'm now engorged in fruits, and I move even slower. And the burning hot sun is coming up. Whew, I barely get home before I start to burn up. But I'm not safe yet. I'm exhausted from being out all night, and my nutrition is a mess. And this is probably a good time to talk about nutrition. You can see right here all these bars. You have to balance veggies, carbs, sugars, proteins, and those apples push my fruits way into the red line. This makes survival in the early game, well, I mean, look at me. I mean, now I have a double slow debuff. I'm worse off than I was with the first aid nightmare. I'm overheating, I'm exhausted. Luckily, I do get a few veggies growing, and by eating these instead of just apples, I get a bonus 2 hearts. Nutrition has its pros and its cons. I then snack on some raw pine nuts, which are pure protein, and soon my diet is, well, at least I'm not dying. So now I'm going to try to make some kind of food that isn't a fruit, and of course, I mean, come on now guys. For all my loyal subscribers out there, you already know exactly what I'm going to make. Team Green Tea. And if you're a loyal subscriber, you might already notice that this tea looks really different. That's because in this mod pack, we're actually playing Pam's Harvestcraft 2. It's a bit different, but I'll go into all those differences later. For now, I just need to try to make sure I make it through this exhausting day. And yeah, the stamina is running down so fast, I basically just give up. Literally, look at this. I stand in one spot and I sit here and just let the day run out. Day 14, and we are headed into the mines with our full stamina bar. I have to leave the farm alone for right now. I can't do much more with it, so I'm going to start to explore the improved cave system in this mod pack. And the first thing I find is this icy underground railway. I start to poke around, and I find these spiders. It turns out, if I have a torch in my offhand, this counts as an offhand item, and it messes up the halberd. So even though this is just a basic normal spider, I'm still not even able to fight him at all. Pretty pathetic, honestly. I stop using a torch in my offhand, but that only means that I'm now fighting in the darkness, so I'm not sure this is better. But hey, for all this pain I'm going through, at least I do get a little bit of reward. And I find my first diamonds, so at least I got something going for me. I head down the railway, and I start to find some other cool items too, including a name tag. And now, I'm just gonna have to find something to name. And while I'm trying to get around down here, I end up breaking my pick, which kind of traps me down here, but I managed to think quick. I grab some wood from the mine shafts, I make a quick crafting table, and then I can make another quick iron pick. And it's a good thing I did this too, because I just came across an emerald vein. Yeah, you heard that right. The improved caves has emerald veins. Probably the best part. I start to dig my way up when I come across what looks like a barrow from Skyrim, like an underground tomb. Well, it turns out it basically is a Skyrim dungeon, because a ton of draugrs, I mean zombies, come out of nowhere, and I am not the Dragonborn. With this blind two-handed weapon, I'm pretty helpless down here. I drop a torch, and I turn to fight, but this is not going too well. I have to blindly run through this ravine and then block myself in this corner just to survive it. This isn't going too well. I was thinking without that first aid health system, I'd be able to put up a little bit of fight, but oof. Block myself in, and I continue to head up. Because I haven't got my farming right yet, I am out of food, and that means I'm stuck on 2 hearts. And it gets worse too, because it's daytime. One misclick, and if I step out into sunlight, I'll start to burn, and that's it. I am super careful to make sure that I don't look up into the sky, and make sure I'm always under at least a small overhang while I'm stuck up against this hill. Luckily, the day is almost over, and I just need to hold out here for a few minutes. Man, I gotta say, you guys, this mod pack requires a lot of patience. But as soon as the sun goes down, I'm able to run out and forage up a little bit of food, and this tree has some peaches. But I need to be careful and not engorge myself on fruit again. A skeleton makes me scream like a little baby boy, and so I'm pretty much done with this. It is time to run home for sure. But there is some good news. All the crops are starting to grow, and soon we might actually have some real food coming. The last thing I do tonight is make a market, which I think looks a lot better here in Harvestcraft 2. It even comes with this little cutie. Hey there. And just like with Amazon, I stay up all night losing track of time, just trying to find those good deals on things that I definitely don't need. Which means once again, I lose an entire night of sleep, and now I'm really hurting. I do finally decide to spend my first emeralds, and I buy an onion seed. This is great for a ton of recipes, and it will grow all year round. I also buy some peas and beans because they have some pretty good growing seasons too. Remember, summer is halfway done. We need to stock up properly for the winter. I'm already having a tough time keeping my nutrition right as it is. So for now, we use some of that bone meal to hurry the process up. I head out into the cool night as soon as the sun goes down and power grow some of these tomatoes, beans, and the bell peppers. These are solid summer crops. Finally, even though I'm super tired after staying up for 2 full nights in a row, reminds me of the dorm room days, I still need to get a little bit of clay. Clay is a really big part of Pam's Harvestcraft, and a new cooking mod that makes Harvestcraft so much better. We get ourselves Cooking for Blockheads. It is pretty much a mod built for me. We just need to start this mod pack by getting a book that we cook. A cookbook. As much as I do love that dad joke, it's probably a good idea to get some sleep. That Tired 2 debuff is too much. Now we use 2 diamonds to upgrade the cookbook, but trust me, this is going to be worth it. I rush a little bit of bakeware because I already know the stuffed bell pepper recipe by heart, and I get a good veggie carb protein meal that keeps me surviving just a little bit longer. We then have to chisel by hand some clay blocks and cook up some terracotta so that we can make a cooking table. And this thing right here makes Harvestcraft so much nicer. I head out that night because I'm getting really into cooking now, and I want to get a ton of crops back to the farm. And yes, I know, the summer heat keeps trying to show me that I should stay close to my house. I'm getting a little too brave. I keep on wanting to run out and just conquer the world. And I do start to get some really good crops. And soon, I'm at it again. Running out and being too greedy, trying to find more than I really need. I see that outpost of bounty hunters again, and it should be enough to scare me to head back home. But I just keep pushing out. I want to find new biomes with new crops. These guys are super strong. They really are some endgame mobs. Now I'm not that dumb. I'm not going to go just rushing in here and get too close. Still, in order to avoid them, I keep moving further and further from my house. And soon, I find this redwood biome, which is sick. Probably my favorite biome. The inner California boy in me, so pumped up. But my greed comes back to hurt me. Because now, day 18 has started, and I'm stuck far away from my base in the middle of a fiery summer day. I have to make sure to get into this water and not burn. Okay, this may be a really dumb idea. So, I need to keep a water bucket with me at all times, trying to cool off. This means I'm playing a dangerous game of hopping from pond to pond and burning my little butt all along the way. I have to use a water bucket, and I'm going uphill, and it's pretty annoying. All of this counts as swimming, by the way, so I'm burning through a ton of hunger, and my stamina bar is shot. Now I'm stuck, and I can only move underneath tree coverage. Oh, this is really dumb. Why am I doing this? New plan. I think it's time to retreat and go back underground. Sure enough, in no time, I start to get super tired, and I'm malnourished. Now I'm trapped with my back against the wall, trying to fight off these endless zombies crawling out of the darkness. I came out here trying to get more food, and now look at me. I cook up enough iron to get a pick, and I start to try to crawl my way back to the top. I pop my head up, and it's nighttime. Whew, we're out of here. I'm on my last legs. My spirit is borderline broken. I gotta be honest, I feel like I took 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Just then, I see this little guy. It only takes 1 bone. You know that means that we're meant for each other, right, little guy? Well, so much for reckless adventures now. Now I have to be extra careful, because I gotta stay alive for this little guy. And right away, I see the skeleton hurt him. I gotta be honest, that really triggers something in me. I can't stand to watch puppies get hurt in Minecraft. And after watching him bravely jump in and try to save me from that skeleton, I am now 100% ride or die for this little guy. Then we finally get our way back home, and we didn't get very many crops, so that adventure was, well, it was worth it. Because at least we got you, little guy. Having a dog does help you with your sanity, and it keeps you from seeing too many hallucinations. So, other than sentimental value, this guy really is worth it. Plus, let's be honest, I'll take any excuse I can to keep this little pup. I mean, after all, he followed me all the way home. That means we have to keep him, Mom. So now, I'm gonna have to recover from all my travels for a little bit. And that cooking table is perfect for that. The cooking table shows you every single recipe that you can make with the ingredients that you have in your inventory. So you don't need to guess and look up recipes on third-party sites. Now the sun still has one more day of being a deadly laser, so we're gonna need to creep our way around with some water to go outside. I really need to do this though because I need some wood. I finally work my way into the water and move towards the trees. Man, look at this. They already are getting icy. Man, winter could really be harsh here. We then strip down the wood and we make some chests so that we can make some kitchen counters. This is cool because they're storage for your food, but if you have them close enough to the cooking table, their contents will also be used in the recipes. Since this is the last day of the season, we need to make sure that we go around and grab all the ripe crops. Now we have been struggling this whole summer, so this means we didn't manage to get a whole lot of crops. That means we're really going to have to nail autumn if we want to have any chance of making it through the winter. After all, now that I got this little dude, I have a reason to keep the fight up. The Minecraft gods, they've got to protect me. I mean, they don't want this little guy to be all alone, right? I hope. The first day of fall. Not as cold as I thought. The first day of any new season has a big list of things to do, but the first thing that we need to get to is the rotation of crops. Time to find out what crops only grow in summer and replace them with crops that grow in autumn. The summer has by far the most crops, but we can still get a good amount of autumn crops going. After all, winter's coming, so we better. Cranberries are a good one, and of course pumpkins are a fall crop, no surprise. And right here, I think it's a good time to talk about realistic torches. In this mod pack, torches will go out every real life hour, and they'll need to be re-lit by hand. This makes growing crops in caves and greenhouses a bit more difficult. Also, rain will put them out too, which, I mean, that seems pretty obvious. Now, when you're trying to survive, one of the toughest nutritional things to get is protein. We don't have any animals, but we can grow some mushrooms to get a little bit of protein. Also, you can buy some beets for sugar, but not too much. After all, I still gotta watch my figure. Then, we end the day by getting rid of my summer crops. I'm gonna miss these ones. We get some oats for carbs, and I see that the trees are starting to turn, ooh, and the autumn chill has started up. Here we go. And it's the spooky season. So also, the mobs are going to be coming more often too. There's going to be blood moon soon. I gotta admit, it's weird. Even though this season is technically a little more harsh, I'm pretty hyped. I guess this little guy really does raise my spirits. In my last video, I called my little pupper Mate, and I think I like that, so I'm sticking to Mate. I'm trying some new recipes, getting some food I've never tried before. I then make sure I make all of the kitchen utensils that I need. Pam's Harvestcraft utensils are pretty much just clay and sticks, maybe some wood here and there, but they're pretty easy. Now obviously, you don't want to have to carry around all these kitchen supplies. It'd be like half your inventory. But trying to figure out which ones you need for what recipes and sorting through them all, that's a huge pain. But with cooking for blockheads, you can make a tool rack which hangs in your kitchen and holds all your tools. I mean, it's pretty much what the name suggests, you get it. And yes, the cooking table lets us use these tools while they're on the racks. Also, it just looks pretty cool too. We get some Earl Grey tea because can't be drinking green tea all the time. Then we spend the day cutting down trees. And the food is definitely priority number one, but they need some time to grow, so we can only do so much. What I really need to worry about is making sure that I'm not stuck in the cave all winter. Mate and I, we won't last long like this. So the next big item on our to-do list is getting a log cabin built to help us get through this cold winter in the forest. It's a lot of cutting down trees, then treating the wood by hand, which makes things way harder and a lot more time consuming. Not to mention, it's already getting pretty cold through the nights. And because the survival mod pack makes things so much harder, and building takes extra work, I'm not going to be going for the best build in the world here. I just want an honest house to keep us safe through the winter. And since food is so important, I'm going to make sure that the kitchen is one of the things we set up first. Survival and the basic needs are going to be our top priority. Even with all these excuses, reasons to be lazy, I'm already showing some promise here. But I get a bit too brave again. The mobs start to ramp up, and soon a creeper blows up. My heart skips a beat right here. I thought little mate wasn't going to survive. Then my heart skips another beat because I'm not sure I'm going to survive. I get down to 1 heart. And remember, I had an extra 6 hearts to start. The cold is a real birch. Get it, birch? Like, because we all hate that wood? Anyway, I stay inside for the rest of the night and make sure my furnaces are making charcoal for the winter. Day 24, and I really need to get working on this thing. I'm trying to keep the cabin small because I don't want this project to get too out of hand. When I see little mate coming back out, I know you're hurting, buddy, but I can't help you right now. Best thing I can do for you is just stay hidden and stay safe. Then, back at the house, I decide that instead of just covering up this hole with some floors, I'm going to make myself a creepy little basement. I feel bad leaving him in the cold, so I make a little doggy bed. I think this is supposed to heal him. I'm not really sure. Either way, I like it. It just looks cute. Day 25, and even though I love this little pupper, I need to stay focused. The season is halfway over, and I'm not even close to being finished. I throw together a roof of redwood, and I put some redwood trapdoors over this room, and then I start to cook up the last of my clay and get some bricks. I'm going to have tile on the kitchen floor and some bricks for the roof to match it. Sure enough, the first snow starts to come in. I can already tell, even if I do manage to finish this house, the winter is still going to be brutal. And if I don't finish, I freeze in just a few minutes outside now. I need to take every few minutes to run back to the fire and warm up, which makes building so much slower. I know I could be so much warmer sleeping in my little bed and passing through this cold night, but I really need this time. I need to hurry. I'm trying to move all the kitchen stuff over into the house ASAP. Honestly, if worse comes to worse, I'll throw a fire and a bed down here and I'll live in the kitchen. But by day 26, the storm has passed and the house is starting to take shape. I want a second story, but I know greed is what's going to kill me here in this mod pack, so the first floor comes first. I make myself some tomato soup, and this puts me straight back into my childhood, where my mom would make me tomato soup when I was sick. Then I head out to take care of some of my crops. They need some love since the season is already in its halfway point. I guess those cranberries are grown, I can't really tell, but okay. Then I drop the beets. Worst crops ever. If I'm growing these, you know I gotta be desperate. Now if you look around, you can actually see that our house is in this little valley here, so we don't get the snow just yet. But all of the hills all around us, a little bit chilly, eh? So with that in mind, we head back out to the forest to get some more wood. We then start a rough draft of what the roof will look like. Like I said though, this isn't as important as getting the first floor done. By day 27, we have a good start of getting this done too. We might even get a second floor for a little bit of storage, at least. We place the last brick on the top of the kitchen, and then we put all of the doors on the, doorways, duh. And now, the last thing we need is to get some glass for the windows. And, of course, the heaters. Oh, what? You guys didn't think we were going to be able to have an open campfire in a wooden house, did you? I start to get these redwood stairs going on the roof on top of the base, but I was just in a hurry to get it done. The night on the 27th, we get our first celestial event, a harvest moon, which is perfect. This makes crops grow faster, and we could really use this. All right, see? There it is. With that yellow hue, moon really does look like cheese tonight. But remember, don't eat the yellow moon, kids. Gross. Day 28, and we are finally getting done with the roof. And at this point, I definitely know I'm going to change it, but I don't really have time to focus on that right now. I also don't have time for this creeper. Because of realistic torches, some of those torches will go out, and a mob or two will pop up, even if you think you're safe. The house does look good, though. Look, except for that roof. Ugh. It kind of looks like when you get a bad bowl cut. It's like a ginger bowl cut. Ooh, sexy. But since I'm stuck with it for now, I decided to get some beautiful wooden fences to make up for it. This night, we get a blue moon. A blue moon gives you a luck buff all night long. Oh, okay, hold on. Now, nobody try to make a get lucky joke out of that, you creeps. We get these wooden fences set up all around the patio, and at the time, I was already thinking that I probably would expand this and make some more rooms up here, but that's going to be for next year. For now, I'm more focused on getting all of this wood and making some more firewood. Sadly, I was not focused on my temperature meter, and I started to freeze way far away from my warm cave. I rush home, and I'm so desperate I almost jump right into the fire, and it's still not enough. I start smaller fires all around me, and I just huddle up and I pray. Wow, look at that damage. Almost 2 full health bars wasted. It's a good thing I'm farming so much and working on my diet, because the extra hearts there from the nutrition is the only thing that saved me tonight. And with only 1 day till it gets really cold, I need to hurry. And I managed to find a little bit of sand in the river so that I can get those windows. More importantly, I craft up a hearth, which is a great way to heat up an entire room. I want to put it in the dead center of the cabin so that we can get heat throughout. The hearth needs coal, so we make a furnace. This furnace is going to be used to make all of our wood into charcoal and make a little extra heat as well. We can then fuel this hearth with said charcoal, and it's almost ready. We just need one more little thing. We add a little bit of water so this thing can put out some warm air with water vapor, kind of like a radiator. We then finally get the glass in place, and on the last day of autumn, our cabin in the woods is looking pretty good. But of course, it's never that easy. This blood moon isn't as crazy as the zombie apocalypse style blood moons, but a creeper in the wrong place could mean that we lose our little house and we'll freeze to death with no shelter. This blood moon also makes my vision super nearsighted. All of the dark spots are super dark. It kind of makes the mobs look like they're coming straight out of the darkness. Creepy. But hey, I think we made it through the worst of it. But of course, it's never that easy. Ugh. What a great way to start winter. The challenge of this season is simple. It's winter. Super cold, even in the daylight, and no crops grow. This really is just about surviving and keeping safe until spring. I make a scythe because we are the ultimate farmers, and it's also the weapon of death on this survival challenge. We fix the cabin before nightfall, and the real freeze starts. Everywhere is covered in snow now. A true winter wonderland. Or horrorland, depending on how you look at it. So what are our goals this season? This whole year has mainly been about hiding to survive. And there will be more of that this winter, but we need to try and keep the basics. So yes, that means firewood and getting the last of the crops harvested, but we need to try and keep growing crops even in the winter. And that takes a greenhouse. We'll get there soon. For now, I'm going to start day 31 off by getting a roof that I'm not so ashamed of. I start to cut off all the redwood stairs, and hey, this just means more firewood, and we start to get a bit more robust spruce roof. And remember, this has to be done by hand. Because of that, it does take all day, and we do not want to be stuck outside at night. And you might, well, you'll definitely see why. Day 32, and that's the last of the spruce for the roof. And as deadly as the cold is, I must admit, I'm getting some cozy Christmas vibes here from this spruce snowy forest. Speaking of cold, we get a fridge and set up a little ice box on the side here. I'm liking it. Then we get a kitchen sink which acts as an infinite water source in just one block. That's kind of nice. We spend the rest of the day cutting up more wood, and it turns out we get our first real big snowstorm. I make sure to turn up the hearth. And this is it, the real cold. But we've been well prepared. Some good food in a hardy warm cabin, and we've crawled out of that little cave. So of course, I walk outside and I see the roof, and I decide to go work on it. In the middle of winter. in the middle of the snow, in the middle of night. So the frostbite comes in just a few seconds, and I start running downstairs. Luckily, I was at full health and I was right on top of the house, so I could jump into the warmth pretty quick. And that work does pay off soon, because our roof and the whole cabin is looking pretty respectable. For how much extra work and challenge we have to face, I'm proud of this outcome. We start to get a little more spruce, and also a little more frostbite, but soon we have a ton of stripped spruce. So, with the outside of the cabin looking so good, we can now fix up the inside of it. With Mr. Crayfish's furniture mod, we get some really good looking desks and tables, and finally put the finishing touch in with these blinds as well. Because hey, surviving doesn't mean we can't be thriving. Now, I've been noticing some weird crop growth. Not too important right now in the middle of winter, but I was kind of hoping that these crops would still grow. Nope, I try to collect all the seeds and store them away for next year. Most of the crops we put in the kitchen, which is looking pretty amazing right now. Then we get some wool and make some cozy chairs that we stick in the living area. I then take a seat and just have a look around at what we've managed to get done here. Take it all in. And I'm feeling pretty proud. I do decide to do even more work on the roof, and yeah, we might be having a cozy time, but it is still winter and it's way too cold to be making mistakes. The most important thing to realize is that we lose about 15 hearts when we get too cold and start to freeze. We would be super dead if it wasn't for all these nutrition buffs. Or if we end up losing these nutrition buffs, I should say. And right around this moment, I realize this, and I start to get a little rattled. I need mate to calm my nerves. And, oh yeah, snacks. Snacks always help too. But seriously, without getting too roleplayery, I realize right here that we need to keep our nutrition as a high priority, because without it, we'll start to lose those crucial hearts that have kept us alive so far. Just normal food might not cut it. This means we really need to focus on keeping a stock of our nutritious ingredients. And well, we don't have any ideas for proteins. So, because of this, we're forced to eat rotten flesh. On the outside, this house may look really cool and safe, but being forced to eat this rotten flesh to survive, it really shows you just how much I'm living on a knife's edge. I'm down doing some extra mining for coal to burn, and it hits me. We really need to get that greenhouse going if we don't want to be stuck eating rotten flesh. We need to find a desert with cactuses. So, to do that, we make a nature's compass, and this helps you find biomes that you search. Of course, the closest desert is over 2,000 blocks away. Ugh. So, day 35 is all about finding an answer to this problem. And I think I've got it. Step 1, diamonds. We really only need enough to make a diamond pick. So step 2 is make a diamond pick. But the real step 2 is to mine obsidian. So you guys probably already know where I'm going with this. I'm going to make a nether portal, and quick. I'm already malnourished and losing hearts as it is. I'm starting by setting up my portal right by the cave here. It's close to the fire so that I won't get cold. And then yes, right around here is when I started to realize, wait a minute, isn't the nether going to be hot anyway? I then make sure I have some extra good food to cover me so I can make the trip, which of course means grabbing some soda. Yeah, super nutritious, right? By the way, in the comments, what's your favorite soda? I know I'm always going with green tea, but when it comes to the bubbles, I'm totally up in the air. Anywho, I do decide to get a little old-fashioned vanilla bread for carbs, which completes my amazing soda and bread diet. Then it's into the nether. So the bad news is I do need to go directly into this front wall, but hey, at least this will make a really safe nether highway. And it turns out, yes, this place is super hot. Running into lava doesn't really help either. For every few blocks, I need to return to the over and cool down in the winter forest. So, at this rate, it'll be summer before I even get to the desert. But I continue onward. Even though it's almost already spring, a greenhouse will be a good addition all year round. I go as far as I think I need, and then I make my exit portal. And boom, we pop out in the savannah, which means we're pretty close. Only 300 blocks. We can walk it. Plus, look at all these cool African animals. Not to mention, we're finally going to get some new bushes and some new crops. This bush, or garden, is a windy garden, and it has a whole new set of crops for us. And these cactuses will get us green dye, which is the first part of our cyan dye for our greenhouse glass. I grabbed some arid gardens too for even more crops, and end up deep in this mesa biome. I travel around here, looking for cactus, and even trying to find some swamp for some swamp flowers, and I find, well, I see something that I do not want to see. I'm gonna get out of here, fast. So I decide it's time to head home. It was a long run, but making the Nether Highway with access to a ton of amazing desert biomes is more than enough worth for me. I don't want to buy off more than I could chew just yet. So back at home, I'm getting pretty hungry. We should get to work on the cyan dye right away. Which means I'm starting by cooking up that cactus, and we get some lapis that we can turn into blue dye. And then, I almost cry. I didn't know this before I set out on that mission, but in Pam's Harvestcraft 2, there is no greenhouse. That makes the winter way, way worse, because you have no way of growing crops. So now, I kind of don't know what I'm going to do. My whole plan has been completely thrown out the window. It all revolved around that greenhouse. To be honest with you guys, right about this time in game, I spent about 10 minutes just running around in circles. I'm kind of panicking. I'm thinking I'm going to end up malnourished. And the cold, it's probably going to get me. I have some food, but my nutrition is definitely going to get messed up, and my hearts will start to disappear. And I'm already stuck with slow moving. So now I'm engorged with veggies and starving with carbs and protein. Now, I'm not looking good. My only saving grace is that I did manage to get enough new food from all of these new biomes. And I still have something to eat, and, well, at least it's not going to be too cold when I come out here. So now I'm thinking to myself that the best bet I have for survival is to stay out here in these warm biomes during the winter. But soon, the mobs are coming. I break my scythe, and now phantoms are starting to come after me. I get down super low, and I try to run, but my poor diet means I'm so slow I can't get away. Now the winter is over, which is good because I just barely made it out. Day 40, and maybe spring will be a little less harsh on me. I make it to the morning, and the phantoms back off, but I find these chickens, and I start to realize I really need to start to get some kind of animal protein. I make a quick trip back to my base, and I get another scythe. I've already lost 2 hearts to this poor nutrition. Honestly, if you're having trouble keeping up with what I'm doing, I'm kind of just running around and panicking. I was really struggling at this point. The starting of our second year here is a little bit rocky, but I'm still pretty sure that the number one thing I want to do is spend my time trying to find all the crops that we didn't have in year 1. In this jungle, we do find some tropical gardens, we find this mountain, and we find some of the mountain crops. But I also see this, another enemy outpost. I run away as soon as I can. I spend a whole day trying to find a way around this mountain. But at the start of day 42, I decide I might have to face my fears here. I don't have amazing gear, and my nutrition is at an all-time low right now. But I mean, how bad could it be, right? I slowly, carefully move in, and even though I'm getting them to attack each other, even though I have a shield and a great weapon, this is still really tough. They have enchanted armor, and they can take a ton of damage. Honestly, I can't even really fight them on my own. I need them to damage each other first, just so I can even hope to get a kill. This is way too dangerous. I'm too weak right now. If my shield breaks, this is it. I need to run. I'm going as fast as I can, but it's still really early in spring, and some of these icy biomes are still just too cold. I have to start lighting brush fires all around me just to keep warm. There is a zombie here, but after facing those magical zombie skeletons, I'm not even worried about him. I'm way more worried about freezing to death. I've decided I am definitely not ready to face those outposts. I'm still struggling to stay alive from just the elements. I'm recovering in this cave for a little bit. Then, on my way out, I see another outpost. Nope,
I'm never going back to those. Find some lava for warmth, and I grab a bucket, and this should help me a lot. And while all this is starting to become a real headache, in the middle of all this craziness, I do manage to find this little cutie. It reminds me of Mate. Mate has been there for me this whole time. Now, it's time to get him a mate of his own, and return that favor. I have to stop every once in a while, keep using the lava just to keep me warm. I've been trying to get home for a few days now, and I gotta admit, this is pretty brutal. Every time I come across a new biome, it seems to be worse than the last one. This place is called the Steppes. Great, barren and cold. This bucket of lava is the only way I can kinda cheat my way through this place. The next biome, though, looks like it's straight up Siberia. I start to freeze faster than I ever have before. At night, in this wasteland, I can barely move 100 blocks before I have to stop and pour out my lava. Honestly, maybe I should have just taken my chances with that outpost after all. But finally, the snow clears, and the spring truly bursts through for the first time this year, just as I start to make my way back to my house. I have never been so happy to see this crappy little cabin before. I've already spent a full 3 days just traveling through the Arctic, so I really need to hurry up and plant some of these new imported crops. I'm so used to the cold at this point, freezing is just part of the game now. I head back into the warmth with my pups, and soon I'm back out, trying to get these spring crops finally in the ground. And with all these new crops, I decided that night it's time to add an oven to the kitchen. This way, we won't need to bake anything in the furnaces anymore. Then it's time to head up to my storage and grab all of my spring crops. This year, I'm going to be a bit more organized with my field. Since we have so many different types of crops, I'm going to make 3x3 mini farms for each crop. Then, I start to sow my first cave farm with a little bit of kale. Ew. And then some beans. Yum. Does anybody even really like kale? Come on now. Then we start to work on the second cave farm, and our first day back, things are already starting to look pretty good. I don't think I'll ever go on a massive expedition like that ever again. At least, that's what I was hoping at this point. The next morning, I see my puppy's sweet face, and I decide to grab some sweet potatoes. I actually do eat a lot of sweet potatoes like in my everyday life in real life, so this is hitting a little close to home right now. Then we get some garlic, which I love, and some turnips, just in case we need to start playing Animal Crossing. And then finally, we end the day with a quick trip to the Nether so we can get a ton of bone meal. Remember, with no greenhouse now, I really need to get these spring crops grown and stock them up for the whole next year. Or at least that's what I thought when I was planning my first days of spring. Sweet potatoes grow year-round, and they have protein, carbs, and veggies. Plus, it can be baked with no other ingredients. It's kind of too good to be true. And with just a few bites, the hunger pains of winter have left us. Now, we're really ready to start our brand new year. Or so I thought. Just as I start to celebrate, I see something really strange out my front door. This man-eating plant is part of this spring's challenge. The seasonal elements are even starting to fight against us now, as new boss creatures just like this one will start to attack us. It does crushing damage, and soon my iron shield is gone. Then I see it does 5 hearts per hit, and it hits really fast. I mean, look at this. Look at how hard it hits. I mean, I'm shredded. Wow. I go from 2 full health bars to 1 heart in just a few seconds. Okay, let's be real here, guys. I'm being dumb. Obviously, this plant is rooted and it can't move. We pull together a bow. If you get too close, it's fast and it's deadly, but soon it quickly wilts away. And I know that there's going to be a ton more of these things to come this spring, so we're going to have a bow handy at all times. Did that nasty tentacle monster scare you, mate? Yeah, me too. I celebrate my small victory, and I grab myself some green tea because I haven't had any since last year, and then I head out to get started on our next project. With these anime tentacle monsters now sprouting up without warning, I need to make sure I have a ton of arrows. Now, I could just throw down some fences and call this a chicken coop, but remember, surviving is one thing. We're here to thrive. Now, these blocks we're using, they might look pretty weird to you, and the reason for that is we're actually going to be using a lot of Mr. Crayfish building blocks here. This will help us add a little bit of flavor, and I'm really liking how this looks. Small and simple, but still built with love. Day 47, and we get the roof put in, and with some lanterns on each side, I take a step back. This will do just fine. It also inspires me to head up to the patio and do a little bit of work up here as well. I use some oak trapdoors along with some oak posts, and soon, by the end of the day, we have this nice little shady covering. As the next day starts, I can't help but think we're really starting to thrive here. Like I've pretty much mastered the worst of the elements, and I let myself forget that I'm still on the run and pretty desperate. I take today easy and just work in the fields. So many crops and colors, I just kind of get lost in the farming for the day. Which of course is exactly what makes me drop my guard, and right on cue, this happens. Now obviously, this is just a vanilla pillager raid. No bounty hunters or advanced mobs here, but still, it's a little bit of a pest, an annoyance. I have to deal with this just to keep my home safe. The real thing that sucks about this attack is that it reminds us that we are not safe. I keep on trying to ignore the truth. As the last pillager falls, the achievement, Voluntary Exile, couldn't be more fitting. All of this is just me trying to ignore the fact that this is just a distraction for the inevitable. Okay, enough of me being a sad boy. Let's go out and find a new little friend here. This will make us happy, and he just got murdered by a creeper, didn't he? That's fine. I'm fine. No big deal. Oh, and now we have a little baby zombie, the worst kind of zombie, stuck in our house. Can't I just live the last 50 days of my life in peace? Of course, I couldn't leave well enough alone, because while trying to find another animal, I find my first village, while I have bad omen. So not only am I almost certainly going to get myself killed, now I'm ruining the lives of these poor villagers too. I do manage to get some emeralds by fighting off the raiders, but let's face it, these are blood emeralds. No way the villagers are getting out of this alive. And just as I say that, I'm not looking too good myself, but I decided I want to stick around and keep fighting. And in doing that, I get rewarded by seeing this. I think that's a zombie wearing a pillager's head, and I don't know why, I think that's the funniest thing I've ever seen. But I don't have too much time to laugh, because the next wave of raiders has a Ravager, and I get down to 1 heart, so I clench my butt cheeks as that last arrow just misses me, and luckily we don't have to go back to day 1. I get back to full health, and finally make my way home at the middle of day 49, only to find out, turns out the village wasn't the only place that was under attack. My cabin now not only has 1 of those man-eaters, but 4 all over them. I managed to melee this first one since I don't have any more arrows, but let's be real, this is a really dumb tactic. I try to look through all my Spartan weapons, maybe see if I can make like a ranged weapon, maybe a spear. No luck. Look at them, they really are everywhere. Let's think here. And it was just at this moment that it hits me. They can't move, 100% immobile, and they aren't going to be able to run. So, we grab a lava bucket, and yeah, I remember from Pixelmon, fire type definitely beats grass type every time. Easy. Of course, because they are all over my base, I still need to be really careful and make sure I don't burn down my own house. Now this last one, I gotta be super careful. I move this bucket a little closer, and boom, got him. With that, our second spring is a big win. A bit rocky, and a lot of enemies, but I still set myself up, and I have hope for summer. I grab this ice cold smoothie because things are bound to start to heat up. Okay, so I've been noticing some weird things about all my crops since the first spring. It seems like some crops are still maybe kind of growing, even if they're out of season. I decide I want to do an experiment and not pull up all my spring crops just yet. But no matter what happens, I still need to make sure that I plant my summer crops, so I go to grab those. And just as I start to get that spring raid out of my mind, it comes back to haunt me. Luckily, with so many hearts and this Spartan weapon scythe, these guys don't really stand a chance. But again, this isn't the real threat. It's just a message. This time, however, I decide not to take the threat lightly, and instead of going and looking for a village, I'm just gonna mind my own business and stay at my farm. But see guys, there's a problem here. If I want to keep all my spring crops, then I'm gonna have no more room for my summer crops. I mean, I need to farm more. I promise. I'm not just making up excuses to farm just because I love it. It's the best thing in the world. No, totally. It's because it demands it. Right, yeah. We then plant these nuts, some tomatoes. No, I don't really pronounce them like that. Who does? And then it's off to bed after a long day. Don't worry, mate. I'll keep you safe from those pillagers. I hope. Day 52, and I wake up ready to clean out some forest from my farmland. Man, these ghosts always creep me out. And I hate that I can't even kill them either. I then climb up this tree and forget that this mod pack makes the trees fall all at once if you cut them too much. Ouch. We managed to level out another terrace for another farm. But seeing as we do have a ton of fern logs, we might as well make use of them. I'm a big fan of putting borders around all my farms. I feel like a farm with nothing around it just kind of looks naked. So I set out some of these log borders, and on each corner I put a post, and I place torches on all of them. This will keep out the mobs and make crops grow. I don't know why am I explaining this? This is Minecraft 101, you guys already know all this. Day 53, and we get little pathways connecting the farms all the way back to my cabin. But more importantly, I see that my spring crops are growing just as I thought they would. See, in Pam's Harvestcraft 1, crops strictly will not grow out of their seasons, but you can make a greenhouse to offset this. However, in Harvestcraft 2, there is no greenhouse, but to make up for that, the crops will slowly grow, even in their off-season. Of course, when the crops are in season is when they'll grow at a normal rate. But you can still get some crops even in the off-seasons, just at a very small yield. That's nice. And honestly, in my opinion, as a Harvestcraft fan, I actually think that that's a nice change. I also think this place is looking super dope. Now, is it getting kind of obvious that I am obsessed with these upgraded fences? I start to just add them in any place I can. Day 55, and with all the farms looking amazing, I have to admit I'm still super lacking in the animals department. So I spent today out and about looking for something to fill that empty coop. Chickens would be great, sure, but a cow would help us with milk. And honestly, any animal I can find, I'll take it right now. Especially since I spend a whole day doing a huge circle around my base. So when I finally do find a little herd here, I am so happy. This will be a big boost to my farm and really help me with my nutrition. And then slowly and carefully guide them home. I then loudly and painfully scream when a creeper blows them up. Even though we lost most of the herd, we still have this one lone survivor. And I don't know if the fact that we got this one little guy home is lucky or really unlucky that we lost most of the herd. We then take all that anger out on some udders, and we get a stack of fresh milk. Super good for Harvestcraft, but I mean, of course it is. Everything's better with cheese on it. Oof, except you can't eat cheese. Can we get an F in chat for the lactose intolerant captain subs? The true victims. Day 56, and speaking of essential ingredients for cooking, I decided to turn one of my farms into a sugarcane farm. In Harvestcraft, sugar is actually way more important. Like, sugar and dairy is just as important, well, I mean, it's just as important as it is in real life. Almost as important as bacon. And so, we get to lead around this little Peter Porker and start to, well, lead him home. Now I know, you guys hate mixing animals in one pen as much as I do, but this is going to have to do for now. And with this, we're on a pretty good course for some of the really good endgame recipes. So of course, we need a reminder that we are all doomed and not going to make it to the endgame. Soon, another pillager shows up. This is like 3 raids in 6 days. Kind of raids. I mean, I think this is just one guy, but still, you get what I'm saying. Day 57, and we head through the Nether. The animal struggle is real. I can't find any animals in my forest, so I'm gonna head out to the savannah. I decide, instead of trying to get pigs back through the Nether, I'm just gonna get some pork chops for takeout. Same with the cows, and yes, sorry Lamb Chop, but same with you too. And then I decide to see what emu tastes like, and then realize I've made a horrible mistake. I've enraged the herd. Looks like the emos are gonna get to taste me. These things hurt. Maybe I'll leave the emus alone and just go settle for some chickens. However, instead of killing these guys, I'm actually just gonna try to get some eggs to take home. Excuse me, Sir Cluck. Might you offer me an egg in these trying times? I spent all night harassing chicks. And then, on day 58, I try to fill my inventory with tons of steak, lamb, and pork. I know I should probably try to get some of these back to my farm, but what I'm really doing here is I'm hoping I can just get enough free-range meat to last me through the 100 days. And I was thinking I could make myself a cheeseburger. I was thinking I could have rosemary lamb chops, but I had no idea what was coming next. Did you guys forget about the summer boss? Because I sure did. On the night of day 58, I see some little Barocco tribesmen, and now I know I'm gonna have a big problem. I've never fought the Barocco Sun Chief before, but I've seen him in other videos, and he looks like a huge pain. I'm being very careful here, peeking out my windows, because at the time, I had no idea what to expect. I'm thinking that arrows and a bow will be a good idea, but I don't have too many of those. I take a step outside and see this orbital strike, and I take a step right back inside. I love my scythe, so I decide to upgrade to a diamond scythe. I then slowly push out, and sure enough, Barocco's health bar pops up. Then the tribe boys come at me, but they're pretty easy with this new scythe. The last day of summer, and even though the tribes boys are easy, they just keep coming. And I kind of have my hands full here. I see this big chungus, and I take my first shot. I only have like 8 arrows, and the damage is, well, you can see it, not too great. Also, standing still means I'm going to get lasered in the face. So that means I'm going to try to keep moving. Use some hit and run tactics. So I take out the next wave of boys, and then I make my first run. And a decent amount of damage for a swipe. I think I can do this. I go in for some more hits, but he has an AoE knockback. So we really are going to have to keep moving and doing the old hit run. Plus, every time I clear a wave of the boys, he just throws out a whole new bunch of them. So I'm not going to try to waste my time with them. I work him down to about half health, and I feel like this is going pretty well. Until I see that he's starting to heal. He's got these little shaman dudes healing him, so I need to make sure I take them down as soon as they pop up. But I'm getting pretty low myself, so I have to back off. And then, if you get too far away from Barocco, he auto-heals, and I wish I had known that. Although looking back on it, this was probably for the best. Better that I back off instead of dying there. But even on my second try, shamans are spawning underground, and they're getting his health up a lot before I can find them and kill them. So I realize it's time to change up strategies again. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hatch up this egg, and then we're gonna try to power grow this guy up, farm his feathers, and then shoot him with arrows. Totally legit strategy, right? I'm not desperate. You're desperate. Who said I'm desperate? Alright, now it's time for the real strategy. Day 60, and the summer heat is sticking around. So I guess we're just gonna have to fight fire with fire. I dump my bucket of lava right at the chief. And if it burns my farm, so be it. I can rebuild. That's not a problem. Having this guy around my base anymore, that's the real problem. Now, even though this lava is super effective, he still summons the shamans, which makes him invincible, and heals. So I just need to make sure I can keep killing them quickly. Also avoiding this massive solar beam he shoots. Really? Like, I have double health, and I'm using lava, and this is still a really crazy fight. I keep rotating around him, clearing out every shaman every time they pop up. And soon, we finally get him low enough that he can't summon more in time. It took me almost 3 days, but we finally beat the heat and took down the Barocco chief with some of his own medicine. And it's the first day of autumn, and the trees are already starting to turn colors. Just happens that this color is fire. But all jokes aside, that last fight totally wiped out our livestock. And this really derails our entire Harvestcraft. Like, this actually changes the entire playthrough from here on out. But hey, I guess that's what we get, putting more than one animal type in the same pen. At least I still have a Lucky Clucky. Ew, was that a... Did you see that? Was that a rat? Yep, sure was a rat. This little guy makes a beeline for my farm and starts eating all my crops. The rats have never been this bad before. This is kind of weird. I guess the first thing we should do this season is start to harvest up all the summer crops before any more rats show up. I then take them and put all of them away. And even the rat carcass. mystery meat. We grab some sugarcane and make some candied sweet potatoes, which I feel is a great fall treat and very festive. The next day, I can already see the leaves in the forest turning a golden brown. And no, this time it's not because they're on fire. I even see some ice in the lake. The forest gets cold really fast. It's time to move on to another part of Harvestcraft, which I think is pretty cool. Harvestcraft has over 47 different types of trees, which grow food all year round for free. And now that the forest is burnt down, we have a much better place to start our own personal little orchard. I also get some wheat seeds for my chickies, and take a minute to look over the autumn landscape, because I know soon this whole place is going to be covered in snow. We then add on another farm, which will be our autumn crops farm. I grab every autumn crop out of storage, and I get to planting. There are some good berries like huckleberries, juniper, and I feel like I'm back in Helgen. I also grab some corn, because no farm is complete without corn, and a little bit of ginger too. And all these crops fill up the farm, so now we have to add another farm, which in total I think we have 6 or maybe 7 if you count the sugarcane one. Then we head back to the nether, because now I'm on the hunt for some blaze rods. I know that the far side of our highway has a spawner, so I'm going to go grab some netherrack and carefully try to build my way over to it. Now, do I even need to say this? Building this while overheating and being attacked by blazes is super dangerous. I figured that's pretty clear, right? Just like I was freezing in the winter working on my roof, I need to retreat outside of the nether every once in a while so I don't burn up down here. Once again, this is a little bit tedious and very time consuming, but we do get a little area built up here to farm blazes, and soon we do manage to get some, so it is worth it. The next day back at home, we get our brewery going, and this is important to heal our zombie villager. Oh, what? Did I mention? Yeah, we caught ourselves a zombie villager. But of course, that needs sugar, a brown mushroom, and a spider eye. You guys know the recipe for potion weakness. I take a short stroll in my orchard, and I gotta say, I'm already liking this. I rarely get to grow fruit trees, so this is a nice change. Then, I see a spider. This is perfect, because... Oh, he didn't drop one of his 8 eyes. Lame. Well, if I'm gonna have to wait till nighttime to get spiders anyway, might as well keep working in this orchard. But even then, I'm trying to cut out a lot of footage of me doing this. I'm getting kind of obsessed. Like, seriously, I'm getting so obsessed, I forget to eat. While playing Harvestcraft, I forgot to eat. But on the plus side, this means that we're gonna have to eat enough food to finally get the coveted, perfect, balanced diet. And I get a total of 15 hearts. Whew. And now that I'm feeling super healthy, I think it's only right to help get my zombie dude up to full health as well. We get that fermented eye and potion of weakness brewing. Oppa! You need this more than I do, buddy. And now, we have some chickens coming up too. And with that achievement, it looks like our science experiment was a success. Let's go check out our newest crewmate. Ah, there he is. What should we name this guy? Judging by your expression, I'm gonna call you Plank. And, Plank just stole my bed. Now this just means I have somebody to cuddle before I go to bed. Let's kiss the homies goodnight. On day 68, Plank pops up and he sprints his way to go and be a farmer. But in this playthrough, we already have one loser obsessed with farming, so sorry Plank, you're a Fletcher now. A very sticky Fletcher. No, sticky because he sells sticks. Ugh, I gotta be more careful with my phrasing. The good news is, even though we are well into fall, the spring and summer crops are still growing, kinda, super slowly, but still growing, and all of the fall crops are really coming in. And with all of this means we should be able to keep our 15 hearts all winter. Then, in the cave, I set up a little bed here for Plank, and he seems pretty happy. Maybe. I don't know. You can never really tell with Plank. He's a very simple man. Well, I know I'm happy with all these new trees that we're getting in the ground. The first trees are maturing, and this place is really starting to come together well. The good thing about trees is they're not affected by the seasons, and they should be growing as fruits all through winter. I get some beats in the ground, but I realize tomorrow is day 69 and I don't have any memes planned. Sorry about that, guys. Not every day 69 can be big poggers. There are chicks breeding outside. I don't know, is that 69 energy? I don't know, we popped this cherry tree. Did that count? Speaking of popping cherry trees, we head to the marshland and start collecting a ton of trees. Okay, oof. That popping cherry tree joke. Ooh. Day 69 never ends well. And speaking of not ending well, this lady crocodile gets very excited to meet me. She says she's a huge fan of my vids, and she wants to make me her boyfriend. Or else. I do tell her that this is bad touch, but it's too late. She's gone full fangirl. We need to bonk her with the horny stick. At the end of all this, I've lost so much health that I would have died twice. Crocs equal bad. And of course, as is fitting, on the last day of autumn, we get a super blood moon. I have to fight my way back to my base. And even when I get there, it is surrounded by creepers. I do not want this to end like it did last year. Soon, more and more geared mobs start to spawn. And I gotta admit, this was kind of getting out of hand at this point. I'm trying to run away, and I'm reminded of how I really have been out on the run this whole playthrough. I start to freeze, and I need to find some random cabin in the woods to hide in. Sadly, even in here it's still too cold, and it means I need to bust out the lava. I have to admit, it does get pretty close. The blood moon might be done, but sadly, so is this little cabin. Finally, back at home after freezing and burning down that poor innocent person's cabin, I start to make all of these saplings that I found in the swamp. I'm really missing the hot, steamy fun with the crocodiles now, because the winter is already beginning to get super chilly. I run out, and I keep planting my trees as the sun sets, but once again, it is way too cold to be staying out here at night, and I need to get my butt back home. I do not want to have to end up burning down another cabin. Day 71. Morning, Plank. I guess he didn't like the idea of sleeping out in the cave, so... Oh, that just means we have one more thing to keep us warm in these cold winter nights. Now, I'm pretty proud of my trees. All looking good, and the chickens are doing pretty good too. But the ice in the sugarcane farm started to freeze, and now this whole thing has been ruined. That means we're going to have another project on our plates. We're going to have to cover up the water channels so they can still grow a little bit of sugarcane throughout the winter. But come on now. You guys know I'm not just going to settle for putting oak planks hovering over the water. Like I said, when I started this playthrough, I was planning to make the biggest greenhouse that I've ever made. Basically, I wanted to have all the crops in Harvestcraft under one greenhouse. However, since there is no more greenhouse glass, we're just going to have to invent our own greenhouse. Do I sound a little bit mad? Because I'm a little bit mad. Morning, Blank. Morning, mate. So today, we head out to the savannah, because farming for sand in the winter forest kinda sucks booty. Also, I'm fancy. I get my sand imported from the desert, yes. And back at base, I decide I don't want to just make a simple coop copy. I start to cut out all of the old fences, and I start to dig up the dirt in the back of the greenhouse to make a little extra space. Then, I see this neat little block. Framed glass. And we can dye this with the cyan dye that we've spent so much time collecting. Just like that, it's all coming full circle. And then, I need to spend a good amount of time in deep thought. Where should I start this glass? Are Plank and Mate plotting to kill me in my sleep? Is it better to mine or better to craft? Oh wait, I spent too much time thinking, now I'm freezing to death. Time to go snuggle. Before we get out and go to work, I see that it might be a good idea to get some fruits into my diet. So I decide to try one of the new fruits from the fruit trees. I get pear jelly. Normally I'm not a huge fan of pears. Pear jelly? That actually sounds kind of good. The frame glass is made out of iron and glass, so it's pretty expensive. I head to the desert just to find some new caves so I can go find some more iron. Then we pop back to base, and I start putting some normal glass panels up on the sides. But as I'm doing this, you guys will see. We start to add more redwood fences, and then I put the frame glass on the top. But yeah, we don't have nearly enough, so
we'll do this tomorrow. Back to the savannah we go. Just a normal day of sand and iron. Sand and iron. Sounds like a Game of Thrones thing. Alright, Plank, move your butt over. Daddy's home. Monsters nearby. Does that mean one of you is the imposter? Well, just like in real life when I can't go to sleep, I guess I'll just distract myself and go do some more work on the greenhouse. Day 75, and it's all starting to come together. The most expensive part of the greenhouse is the frame glass, and it's all in place. Plus, one perk of frame glass is that you can break it and move it without needing silk touch, so that's nice. I'm putting the last details in, but then I see some of the fences kind of change and get ugly. I don't like it, so I just decided to take a big support beam of red oak all the way across. I then also finally decide to replace all that normal glass pane with frame glass. I then hide inside because my buns are getting chilly, but finally I get the last panels in place. I take a look at the inside and yeah, I'm big time loving this greenhouse. Then later that day, I'm trying out this new watering can when I get bit by a rat and I get plague. Oh man. Unfortunately, I didn't have my bubonic 19 booster, so for the next 5 minutes, I have the plague, which means I cannot regenerate hearts. Now, luckily, I'm pretty much staying inside all day. After all, I am a YouTuber, that's kind of my own talent. But I do need to remember this for the future, because if I'm in a fight and I get this plague debuff, that won't end well. I also start to see what crops make paper, since it's day 75, and we should really think about getting an enchantment table going. I make sure that the sugarcane is growing too, though, because there's nothing wrong with some good old sugarcane paper either. But there's definitely something wrong with having this zombie in the basement. I give this guy a quick spanking, then I head to bed. On day 76, like I said, it's time to get that enchantment table. I was starting to realize I probably wasn't going to be able to fight my way out of this one. I mean, look at me. I'm struggling here. Just trying to chop wood, I'm almost freezing to death. Most of my apocalypse videos have me adding some cool enemies, but also adding some new tech to defend myself. But in this playthrough, it's just super challenging to just get to the next day. I'm going to try to get diamonds and enchant them, hopefully, but really I think I'm just going to hide down in the basement and try to make it to 100 days, because I don't think this one is going to be a glorious defensive battle. If I'm being totally honest with you guys, when I was playing right in this moment, I was thinking I was having a lot of fun, just struggling to survive in a real survival version of Minecraft, and making this cabin, this farm, the greenhouse, with all of these extra challenges and struggles, it was a ton of fun. But these last 20 days are going to be really tough with the mobs coming. It's going to force me to be super low-key, and the mobs are going to get really, really dangerous. And just like surviving in real life, playing it safe and going as long as you can is the only real final outcome. This is the last day of our last winter, and soon we're going to start our third year, and I promise I'm going to go out with a bang. But honestly, I think I'm still going to be going out. I get some enchantments on my bow, and my scythe, and all of my iron gear too. I'll get diamond gear, but that's for the spring. I know that a boss is coming tonight, and I don't want to give up just yet. So I spend one last day looking over my base, then I stoke up the fires. That night, I get ready to keep the fight up, at least for one more season. Day 80. And sure enough, this is one of the biggest bad guys yet. Frostmaw. Just like Barako the Sun Boss, Frostmaw is the boss of ice, and it'll finish off our last winter. I've never fought him before, but I know he's super strong. And I notice that he's asleep, so we might be able to get in a couple of easy hits to start the fight. But then he wakes up. So much for that. I then fire a shot at him, which does no damage, just bounces right off his icy fur. So much for that. I get frozen in place, and yeah, not a very good start to this fight. I'm starting to think if I want to make it to day 100, I might just have to start hiding right now. I'm doing 0 damage. I haven't even really figured out how I'm going to start this fight, and I'm already hiding inside. He's sitting right out my front door. Even if I did try to hide and ignore him, there's no way I could sneak past him and get through my front door. So I sneak out the back door, and up behind him while he sleeps. Finally, I managed to put in some good hits.
He's too mobile to try to use the lava though, and I admit that would have been a pretty poetic death. But instead, this time, it's just me versus the elements. 1v1. No cheap tricks this time. And no surprise, it's not going great. He spanks my cheeks and sends me hiding again. I poke my head out the front door, and I manage to get some cheap shots in, but this is not how I want my story to go. We might end this playthrough hiding, but if we're gonna fight him now, we're gonna fight him. And by doing this, we're making some hard trades. For a second, I kind of thought he gave up here. Nope. He was charging up for his big stomp. Honestly, that should have killed me. But because I've worked so hard on my nutrition, I'm hardy, and I've got a ton of health. I can take a lot of abuse, and I can heal and come back and keep doing these trades. I pull back into my orchards, and I try to get my fruit nutrition up. But then I see that he's starting to heal up too. No. Hiding and hoping I survive isn't gonna work for this one. I need to re-engage and finish the fight, one way or the other. So I go full tilt. I deal as much damage as I can. I just trust that I can weather the hits. And weather the winter. Sure enough, we did. Is that a pun? I'm not even sure anymore. To finish out day 80, I head out to see the green, and spring is blooming, and the snow is giving away to rain. Looks like we're starting out our third spring. And I start by buying and planting some rice. Then I get myself a little Rice Krispie Puff. I think I've earned a little treat. But as we wake up on day 81, we see that we have a difficulty bar on our hub now. Every day, the difficulty will increase by 1 unit until day 100 when we get the last battle. Let them come. Sure, they might kill me. Probably will. All that means is in the next 20 days, I'm going to leave a legacy they can't forget. And as I'm in the farm, thinking about how I'm going to end these last 20 days, I get to see the first improved mob. This zombie just has a diamond pick. Not too bad, but I know it's going to get worse. And so, as they're going to get stronger, and if we want to last to day 100, we're going to have to get top tier gear. And the next 2 days are going to be spent down at Y11 looking for diamonds. Even down here, some of these new mini-boss mobs, like this Witherbow skeleton called a Forgotten, are still going to make things a little bit tough for us. But we're still dealing with them, and we're finding those diamonds. The creepers are also getting a speed boost, and this one gets a little too close. Come on now. Oh, this farm is all I have left. Speaking of farm, we finally do get some potatoes. And I find out that in this mod pack, you can actually craft diamonds, even though they are pretty expensive. 3 iron blocks each? Yeah, well, diamonds are diamonds. Alright, Plank, at least I still have you. Now stop hogging the covers. Day 83, and we start by patching up the farm, because if we can still look good, we still win. And I spend most of this day smelting up iron, so that we can craft up our new diamond recipe. But the 3rd year of survival means we've now unlocked some new tricks too. And by new tricks, I mean guns. Big time shooty pew pew time. This is a super simple gun mod. Mr. Crayfish's guns. Not as crazy as any of the other videos I've made. You just need a workbench, which just takes a little bit of gray dye. Not too hard. Get the gravel, then we get the sand, and we mix it all up here in the basement, and soon we have enough concrete. Then we just throw this gun workbench down in the library, so we have brains and bullets. And then I see, too much iron. I'm going to bed. So that means day 84 is all about trying to mine more iron. And we then get to fight the skeleton of Peter Pan down here. No one wants to go to Neverland, you creep. And as funny as that guy was, the mobs are starting to get all these weird new abilities. Like they're riding parrots so they can kind of fly, I guess. But more importantly, they're getting way more numerous and tough. And now they have iron swords. So this is only going to get worse. But iron swords are no match for a heavy rifle. This bad boy is pretty much the equivalent of a sniper rifle. I'm hoping I can just run around and one-shot everybody. Also, in this mod pack, gunpowder can be crafted, and it just takes flint and sugar. So that's pretty cool. I then craft up a ton of gunpowder and a ton of advanced sniper rifle bullets. And then I invite my first target, dinner guest over. Oh, what's on the menu, Mr. Zombiesworth? Why, it's murder. Yes. Okay, well, you guys might not appreciate my corny accents, but Plank here's been laughing all night long. We craft up a new pick or two, and we head out for a few days to get the last few diamonds. Finally, by day 86, we come back home, and we've mined and crafted up enough diamonds to get our chest plate and boots. And you always gotta do boots first. Gotta have the freshest. I decide that I'm gonna keep my diamond gear and save it for the very last battle. Now I'm headed back into the mines. While down here, I see some more festive hats, like mine. I see a golden top hat, and that is 100% a sombrero. Love it. And as each day passes, I do notice that the difficulty climbs, and the mobs are getting weirder and weirder. But I can still handle them pretty well. For now. Day 88, and I take a chance just to look out over my beautiful orchard, which has floating trees over it, but still looks good. Then we grab a few more diamonds. Now, on day 89, we have enough for leggings. See? I don't call them pants anymore. I also decided to craft up a diamond shield, which is pretty amazing. Really good piece of kit here. On the last day of our last spring, I grab a ton of spring crops. Now, we have so many crops and such a wide variety that I can start on my final project to cement our legacy and survive even after the 100 days is over and I'm gone. And so, in the last 10 days of our playthrough, we're going to leave a real lasting mark on the world. I have to admit, I am going to miss these boys here. Plank, mate, maybe I should let them free before the end. Anyway, we spend the day stripping oak and collecting redwood. Then, we find a good spot out back and we get to work. I'm going to be making a monument, so I'm going to show off what we've been working on this whole playthrough. Of course, the whole time we're doing this, we need to keep the mobs at bay. And we need to make sure... Oh, no. Oh, this part. No way. Plank. Who did this to you, boy? I check in the house. Oh, sure enough. Yep, that's him. He's turned, but I'm not killing him. I don't really have a use for him, but that doesn't mean we're just throwing him in the gutter. I grab a boat, then I leave him back in. I don't care if our time here is limited. I'm not letting you go, buddy. Now get back over here. I know there's no real practical reason to save him. I don't need emeralds. I've bought everything I could have, but this is something more than that. I'm not just gonna let you die, Plank. I should probably be saving this golden apple for the last fight, but this is more important. I start to craft up some more item frames, all the while staying right next to you, Plank. Oh, dude! Really? There's a zombie right here? Man, I really need to be more careful. Keep these zombies away from Plank. But, for my loyalty to Plank, I am rewarded. We do manage to get the last crop to complete my collection. A carrot. Yeah, I know, right? It's weird. For some reason, vanilla crops aren't at the market, so they're kind of the hardest to get. Okay, finally, we can get to work. So here, on this giant wall, I'm going to post a ton of item frames. And in each one, we're going to place a different Harvestcraft recipe. So we get started with stuffed bell peppers, some assorted veggies, roasted peanuts, since, that's all I really have in my inventory right now, but it's a good start. We then head back to the kitchen. We get a blueberry smoothie, veggie medley, barbecue sauce, some beef jerky, cornflakes too, looks like a fruit salad. Oh man, getting hungry just talking about all this. Also, I should probably just say, when it comes to things that have like multiple varieties, like smoothies and yogurts, I'm only going to use one type for the wall. Day 92, I wake up and it's nice to see Plank looking good. We get some celery and peanut butter, which is fine, I guess. Was never really a big fan. Also, we get a citrus salad and corn on the cob. You know, foods that are actually good. And speaking of good, this wall is starting to come along. I think this is a really good way to end the playthrough. We also get some fairy bread, which I think is just like regular bread with sprinkles in it. We get a buttered baked potato. Whew. Add a steak and I'm in heaven. Then it's time to throw all of our meats in the oven. That's a rat. Okay. Gross. And we make some carrot muffins, which sound even more gross. We also get some cheese and some cake batter, which will help us make some more complex foods like fried onions, fried rice, garlic mashed potatoes, along with some ice cream. Okay, I know none of those had cheese, but I'm getting there. Hold on. Give me a second. Day 93, and I head out, and I honestly don't remember what I was looking for at this point of the playthrough. I think I may have been looking for, like, bees to get honey. Instead of that, I find the zombie with a chef's hat, and makes it all worth it. Truly, the life of a cook is a competitive one. On a more serious note, the zombies are all getting much, much stronger. They're starting to come with shields, and this one even has diamond armor. I know I should cherish my time, because me and Plank and Mate, we've only got a couple days left. I'm just trying to keep myself going, focusing on my work, not thinking about it. And it's paying off, too, because everything is coming together really well. We're about halfway done. We still have about 6 days left. And we get some, kale chips, ketchup, I don't know, lemon juice. We're kind of running out of stuff right here. But we do get some meaty stir fry and some coleslaw. Yum. Some paneer, which I found out is like an Indian style of cottage cheese. Kind of sounds good. Definitely sounds better than our next meal. That's right, a rat burger. We did it. Hey, if this video gets 1 million likes, my next video will be me eating a rat burger. No. I might be hoeing myself out, but I've got more dignity than that. We get some sausage and Sauerbraten. Big time German right there. We got to do a high jump here, but we finally get to place these scrambled eggs way up there, and stuffed eggplants on our first try. We then get some veggie items here, because we don't want to exclude our vegan brothers and sisters. I mean, we might judge them, of course, but still, they get to eat too. Day 95, and we still need some leather, which I can get by cooking rotten flesh. I don't want to stay up too late and risk my boy's safety. So instead, we pop into the nether, where we can farm some rotten flesh here. I then accidentally lead them back to my house, and so much for keeping my friend's safety. Sorry, guys. But hey, good news. We managed to get a ton more leather and a ton more frames, which is letting us finally set up the very top row. The bad news is, the stronger mobs will not leave me alone, and this creeper wrecks my wall. This kind of hurts too. This is supposed to be my memoriam. So much for my legacy. I quickly and pathetically start to put everything back together, but then it all comes to a head. And I see again. Look at what these jerks did to Plank. I only have one more golden apple. I can only do this one last time. That wall, that's not going to be our legacy. These guys right here, the boys, this is our legacy. This is how we're going to live on. And in order for them to live on, I start to enchant all of my diamond gear. And I get myself loaded up with a complete diet of foods. I head out and find the biggest outpost I remember seeing. In the very first winter, I kill some sheep, and I make a quick bed. This means I'm sleeping in a cave, just like I started this playthrough. Only now, I'm not desperately running and hiding, trying to survive. I have something worth dying for. That means I got something worth fighting for. Not surviving anymore. I found a reason to thrive. And that means we're taking this final battle to the enemy. No more waiting and hiding in caves. This pre-made structure right here is one of the mod pack's strongholds, and it has the toughest mobs in the game. My spring crops have let me grow my health bar into a 15 heart beast. The summer has baked me, and I've come out the other side with a firearm of my own. The autumn reminds me that in time, I could lose everything. And the winter has made me strong and hardy and ready for this final fight. Each of these diamond-clad zombies takes 4 sniper rifle shots to take down. But trust me, there would be no way to take them down if I didn't have this thing. I spend all day unloading stacks of ammo into the vanguard of this fortress. I must have fired 100 rounds and killed dozens of these chads. But their numbers are starting to thin. And as night falls, I use my own bridge as a trap. and I take down all of the other guards. I even managed to save enough of the bridge to help me get back into the fight. First, let's rest. And now, it's time to move into the heart of the fort. Now we just have to deal with these skeletons firing down at us. And of course, this ghost. But I ain't scared of these ghosts anymore. I start to slowly climb into the inside of the fortress. And soon, I see my first ledge. There's 2 armored skeletons here. They might be some trouble, but like they so often do, they turn on each other, which makes them easy. Next, I start to move into the center. These guys are so tough. They take so many shots to kill. I start to actually think maybe this gun isn't that good. But then I try using my diamond scythe, which is twice as strong as a diamond sword, and it barely takes down a heart from these monsters. This just shows you how tough they really are. I may accidentally set this entire place on fire using this lava, but hey, it's a good thing we're out here fighting on their turf, not on mine. I continue to fight, inch by inch, moving up the tower. But every level has mobs, and they are all so tough. I keep hitting crit after crit, but it only does a heart or 2. When they hit back, they hit hard. I keep moving slowly, taking the enemies on one at a time, getting them trapped and exploiting the AI whenever I can. But soon, even with all these tricks, I run out of ammo. Now I have to switch over and start using my bow. But soon, even my 50 arrows run out. So now I have to switch over and start using my scythe. But honestly, I'm gonna use my bare hands. That's what it comes to. Day 99. Finally. We've made it to the top level of the fortress. An army of diamond skeletons awaits me. They kind of tricked me here, and I can't manage to get down. But they've already started to turn on each other. Then I just have to clean up what's left. And now, finally, we can loot these big boy chests. Not bad. But honestly, I don't even really care much for any of this loot. I just wanted to end this amazing 100-day playthrough with a bang. And wipe out the enemy before they could wipe out me. I wanted to leave my mark. Leave a legacy. Well, with this bucket of lava, these guys won't have any legacy. That's for sure. As for me, well, I'm headed back to my legacy. The sun rises on day 100 over a farm fit for a king. So I guess it's a good thing we have so many kings. The crew from Patreon are the reason I get to make so many videos like this. So I feel like it's only fitting to thank them proper. And each little puppy here is named after each one of my amazing patrons. Thank you guys so much. You guys are worth this fight. You guys are a real reason we need to keep surviving.